Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Lauren, and I'm an embodiment guide and a yoga and meditation teacher. I'm all about the world of the healing arts, and I've been lucky enough to meet Gina Vance, who is the developer of Somatic Mindful Guided Imagery, known as SMGI. And it's been such a joy to have SMGI in my life and now be in connection with you, Gina. As we intimately are, SMGI has changed my life from the standpoint of being a recipient of it, like, in the depths of it, on my own healing journey, to then seeing how it's really changed what I do in the world as well as a healer. It's just remarkable. And I also have a very my close network of friends have all been touched by SMGI. So it's a big thing. It's a big thing in my community here, whether it's been people that just have received SMGI for their own healing, or they've gone through your training course and they're practitioners now, and I'm getting to watch them flourish in their careers. So yes, this is truly an honor and something so exciting to talk about because of many reasons, like I just shared, but also just the fact that we're both in the healing arts and we're here on this beautiful journey together, the ups and the downs, seeing clients, different modalities, but kind of rooted in the same thing with the embodiment piece and taking, healing from the mind into the body. So it's a really awesome topic. I love it. And I'm excited to ask you a few questions and share some things here.
Thank you so much, Lauren. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you, Gina. Yeah, so the first question I wanted, not as much as a question as also just like I want to drop in with you on this topic that I feel again is related to both the work that we do in the world. And this is what I find really almost like an epidemic around people not being embodied, right? So as an embodiment guide, I do this work because I have in myself, my own healing journey, realized I was so out of my body. Like my traumas and my pains, they just had me all in the mental and all in my pain stories. And, as we know with trauma, we sort of fracture, right? We come out of our bodies. And I really do believe that a part of this big awakening that we're all a part of right now is us remembering that we have bodies, like literally not just, oh, cool, let's do some embodiment practices. It's like, whoa, like, what's it like to actually feel alive in my body? So I know it's a big topic to start with, but it's sort of like this like over encompassing topic around I think what we both do. And so just generally, I'm just curious, like around this topic, what do you think about this idea of us as humans not being and living and experiencing our life through our bodies?
Mm. Well, I agree with you that it is a kind of epidemic. And I also have come to appreciate that there are really good reasons for that. When I was first on my healing journey, I was continuously getting scolded by various healing type people. Get in your body, get grounded. And at first I was like, "Oh, how?" Right. And they couldn't tell me how. And then I kind of wondered, well, why? Why? And but their scoldings were really helpful because it really made me ask those questions. Why is that valuable? Why would that be beneficial? And so there are really good reasons that many of us live our lives kind of disembodied, and some of us slip out of our body. But really, the bottom line is trauma. And trauma, really simply stated, is just any experience that's overwhelming to us, where we feel helpless and powerless to either make it stop or change it or complete it, and get out safely. And so fragments of our consciousness slip out of our body. And it's really ingenious in the moment because it keeps us from just expiring in some way. So they go off to a safe place. Sometimes we hide these parts of ourselves to keep ourselves safe or to keep those parts of us safe. Sometimes we exile them because we've been shamed or scolded, or we've just looked around in our community and recognized that, oh, that's not done here. We don't see other beings. We don't see we don't do that here. Okay. And so it's very important for us to fit in with our tribe for the purposes of survival, but also to connect and love. So fragmentation of our consciousness, our energy, in shamanic terms, soul fragmentation. It's a very common part of our life experience, and it is part of our ingenious, life-saving capacities that we all carry. And sometimes it's that the overwhelm of trauma that causes it. Sometimes it's just the training that we have. We don't do that here. So we separate from those parts of our nature. So in our culture, it's highly encouraged to be in the head, to excel. You are smart, you're a good thinker, and you are a good memorizer, and you know the rules, and which it's not really how it works, but we're given good grades in school when we act in those ways. So, and it's not all bad, because in our history of human beings, as human beings on this planet, starting out much more right brain oriented, where we're just experiencing so much oneness with all, but not as highly developed left brain capacities. And so then we didn't see a lot of trouble coming, like when, the decimators came to run us off cliffs or whatever. So whatever race was against any race. So that's one piece, that one thing that's good about developing our left brain capacity, our powers of analysis, our critical thinking. And yet one of those alone isn't going to save us or support a life that is flourishing and balanced. So we're really fortunate to be in the times now where left brain oriented living is not enough, and right brain oriented living, la la la, is not enough either. But for the two of those to work together and dance in their own kind of special organic dance is where we can really get stuff done.
Yeah.
So one of the good things about this lack of embodiment in our culture overall is the pain that comes with it. That is a call inwards, a call to our souls, a call to what needs to happen so that I can feel better, so that I can feel alive. What needs to happen? And for many of us, the pain needs to be much greater than our fear.
Yeah.
But one thing I do want to say about fear is a big part of what we fear is losing those we love. So when we do things according to our own inner guidance, oftentimes we're breaking the rules of the people that we love, whether it's our parents, our clergy, our educational system, our current friends, our cultural group. So there's a real fear of what you will lose if you honor yourself, your own soul first. And the truth is, the more you do that, of course, the better your life gets. But on the way to that, the transition is that many people that are dear to you won't be in your life as much.
Right.
Maybe permanently, or maybe for a period of time. And it doesn't mean that the love is gone. It just means that you're moving forward on your path, and other people have their own paths.
Yeah. Yeah. That brings up such a interesting topic that I do find I've heard about. I've experienced ish in my own healing as well. But this whole thing with what you're saying, with how, wow, like if I was to, it's not like we're consciously saying, if I heal this thing, I'm going to lose my tribe, right? But we know it primarily in our body and our instincts because of the way that we're relating with others, right? So if you relate with somebody, say for example, through like a trauma bond, like if you change, like you might not be able to co-create with that person anymore because energetically it's just like not a match, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I find that thank you for bringing that up because it's so real. But what I have found, and like I said before, like I've seen, is once you actually have the courage and you do it and the life shifts and say the relationship falls, like everything changes and it's always for the better. Like I can say that with confidence because I believe it and I've been through it. But sometimes people just don't know that.
Yeah.
Right. But that's such an important thing I feel like I wanna put out there for anyone listening, that there's only this is this question I was gonna ask you much later, but now it's coming up already. It's like this process, I know specifically through SMGI and through other work, embodiment practices and things that I've done, is that there's so many layers to our healing, right? And as we start to sort of chip away and discover new parts of ourselves, like all of a sudden, it's like the stream just opens, right? Like the part when I feel like we hear all the time in the spiritual community, like become more of who you are, right? And sometimes I'm even like, I get it, but I get annoyed with that. Sometimes I'm like, I think of the people that are new to all this and they're like, what do you mean? Like, I am who I am, no matter what, here I am, right? But at a soul level, I really think that's what we're talking about, right? It's like become more of who you are that is already inside of you, right? That's what I do with clients. I'm like, let's just bring you home to your body so you get to feel your soul that's already there. It's like you move the gunk out of the river so the river can flow.
Mm.
And so coming full circle back to what I wanted to ask you is just like, what do you see with your clients with SMGI and their results with like not just healing and feeling better, but then once all that stuff's out of the way and they're feeling better, more of who they are comes online and like their gifts are coming, their soul gifts are online, the clarity, the inspiration, the creativity, like again, I've experienced it in my own life. I see it with my clients. I just want to like riff and share on that, like, because I really want people to know it's not even just about like, okay, sign me up for healing. I want to feel better. It's like you have no idea what kind of life is on the other side of letting that baggage go and clearing the pathways, right? So I
Mhm.
don't know if you have examples of people or within your own self, like how is maybe even just start there, like take us back to how SMGI came about to you and how your life changed through this process and how your own gifts came online.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that comes to mind to share is an analogy that comes to me often. And that is if you think of a house on stilts at the beach, it's right there on the beach, but it's on the stilts so that if the tide is high, it's no problem. But if you imagine that most of those stilts are rotten and need to be replaced, you're not going to go in and just tear them all down. The house will come crashing down, right? So you will set an order of priority. You will shore up and then take out and replace. So this is very analogous to our life journey, right? We're propped up by certain things, whether it is certain cultural or family influences. These really are actually energetically rigid structures that hold us up. So we're working within that. And then there comes a time where it's no longer serving us in the way that it used to. Um, like you said, we already are who and what we are. However, we have really ingeniously and heroically put it into this very set of limitations, very limited set of limits, uh, so that we couldn't access all of who and what we are and what we're capable of,
Mhm.
which really creates a tremendous amount of ingenuity, a lot of pain, but it's like, wow, we're these magnificent souls that are so powerful, and yet we come in as if we have one arm and one leg tied behind our back to see like, okay, how can I master this challenge, and what can I learn about life and about myself and about how everything works. And we bet on ourselves, right? When we come in, to this, it's almost like one of those sack races where you put one leg in and somebody else puts their other leg in. And that's the other thing, that a lot of our experiences are about interactions. There's no guarantee how someone else is going to be. We have some general awarenesses that we come in with, but it keeps it interesting because it's not just all predestined, so to speak. Lots can happen. We have our basic things that we're here to explore and experience, to encounter, to accomplish, and maybe to share. And yet there's a lot of variables that can happen. So it keeps it interesting and exciting. So when as a soul, we've gotten all out, that we want to get out of that particular set of limitations, challenges, then what was propping us up stops working.
Mhm.
And it's not a fail. It just means it's time for something else, sweetheart. It's time for
Mm.
something. And how much pain do you need, love, in order to be willing to let go of honoring what you have been honoring? Because human beings are very faithful, and we will honor things even to our own detriment.
Mm.
We'll honor people that we love, we'll honor ideals that we think are good, grand, whatever. And so it's not, from the SMGI standpoint, it's not so much about weakness as it is about the loyalty aspect of human nature, the faithful aspect of human nature, the part that can hang in there to their own detriment. And especially with with the people that are here that are oriented towards love. I
Mhm.
call them love workers.
Yeah.
These people, their greatest and most valued ideal is love. And so they are willing to sacrifice their comfort and so much more for love. But it gets a little skewed often in our childhoods. We get the message, don't be what you are if you love us.
Yes.
Be good and cause no pain to anyone else if you love. And so we eventually have to find our way through that and realize, oh, it's not loving to erase myself in order to be like an automaton, telling people what they want, giving them what they want. That, oh, I finally learned that that's a bottomless pit that never really makes them happy. Okay,
Yep.
that was a good experiment for me to do.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God, I love what you just ended with there because these love workers, right? Totally, I relate, right? And it's interesting to think that the journey actually, and this is really my own experience, but what you just shared, I'm like, you know what? It's probably many people's experience. And it's something new I've come into in the past 6-ish months around my own journey that I'm like, huh, okay. So let me share what I think is so true for the love worker, that we are in the example that you just shared, right? Where you're in your family dynamic, you're here to, like, your soul knows you're here to anchor love. You'll do anything for that love to be spread. It's so part of your purpose, and you know it as a young kid, right? And then you have any of the stories that come in around traumatic experiences with, you know, narcissistic parents or abuse, mentally, physically, spiritually, anything that then makes you do all the things of, like, you know what, I'm just going to abandon myself over and over again because I'm here for love. And all these people are, they have all these unhealthy ways of relating with you. So you just have now an unhealthy relationship with your own self love because you're here to anchor love and you know that you're here to do it with these people, right? So when we become adults, we start to recognize these things, and what we recognize is like, oh, in my sole purpose of, you know anchoring love when I was younger, got all misconstrued. I now don't love myself. So this is now the love worker, sort of like the damaged love worker, where we're not worthy, we don't believe we are lovable, we're really codependent. And then the most beautiful piece is, and this is what has happened for me, where I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, this is the medicine, is now my journey is self-love. And it's this whole journey back to, like, it's still always about love, right? Like, we lost ourselves. So we gave all this love away, and we have this idea like we were here doing our mission, but really the mission was to later be like, I need to love myself first. Right? Like, first and foremost. That was the epiphany for me as a love worker, that I was like, until I realized that, I really wasn't fulfilling my soul mission, because it's not really loving to abandon myself in the name of loving somebody else, right?
Yeah. It's not good
Yeah,
modeling either, right? So it's
exactly.
like, here, I'm going to abandon myself, but no, you love yourself, right? It's a mind fuck. It's like,
Yeah,
wait, what? Because the most powerful transmission is what you are actually living, what you're modeling. Just like
exactly.
we learned with our parents, right? Oh, you can come to me with anything. And we very quickly learned that that is not true.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Warning flags, not so safe here. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But I do want to honor that, the self abandonment that we do is really high five. That's part of what you came to experience. What's it
Totally.
like? What is that like?
Yeah.
Because when we experience that, when we transition from that, then we know the contrast. We don't just float in. It's like, what do you mean? I love myself. What are people talking about? I don't get you. Right? We really descend into the various limited human experience where it's intense because we are in some ways cut off from our true nature, our true essence, our soul, our divine essence, all of that power that we carry. And yet, even though we have many people that will encourage us to keep that going, it's not really their fault as a soul. It's the experiment that we came into.
Mm-hmm.
And this is part of this isn't a helpful lecture to give someone, but it is a part of what you come into appreciating and understanding as you move through your healing process and you're on the other side looking back. It's like, oh, wow, I that's what I wanted to experience and know the truth of as a soul with the very human physical limitations. And oh, cool. It's really enhances my compassion for others
Yeah.
and also for myself that like, wow, I can get that my soul wanted to come in and have high adventure, but the little infant that I was and the little kid and the young person and the adult that I was until I really got into healing in earnest, it's like, wow, that is one valiant soul that's going to come in with so little to work with and experience all that. And what a scrapper. Love her and glad that it's not so tough for her anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it makes that finding that self-love later in life like so enriching because it's like, oh, I get it. I get it, to be able to see the whole journey and what your soul came here to experience.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
also why we're here on a human journey. Like if we just came here and had everything plugged in, like I don't think we'd be on Earth, you know?
Exactly. Well, what would be the point?
Right, right. And who knows, maybe our, planet Earth will ascend in some consciousness that we get to the point where like it is more of that utopian kind of dimension. But right now, I don't think that's what she's here and is all about. So yeah, that's again what brings us to the work that we both do, right? Where we're just like, at least I know I'm like a full-on cheerleader. Like I believe that the planet Earth could get to that place, but we're just not there yet. So like let's do this together, guys. Like let's really go inward and see what's going on. Cause I know what's in me is inside of you, That's something I really believe too, that this work, SMGI, the work I do with clients, over and over again, I feel the relatability with other beautiful souls that I'm walking here with. It's just like a little bit of a different story, but the same theme, right? And
Yeah.
really it can root back to what I talk about a lot too is it's either fear or love. Like it's just really those two choices. If you look at anything in your life, you can see that that was from fear, which, we have our reasons for our fear. It's our trauma and our stories and our pain that we've been through. But all that fear gives us the opportunity to see where we can find love within that. And really, again, back to that self-love. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And, like with any emotion, there is a very helpful, valuable, and positive aspect of it. And then there's also a very limited aspect.
Mhm.
And, fear is a part of love, right? We want to survive because the self-love that we're disconnected from, it's always there. It's just that most of us, our energies, our attention, our focus is bound in survival and staying connected to whatever love that we can connect to.
Yeah.
So all of it has value, even the stuff that we consider negative or holding us back. It's a lot of us, we need enough negativity, we need enough limitation to be willing to say no to how we were loving
Mm.
and love in a different way.
Mm.
And then there's a certain kind of faith that comes. So we can still have a natural animal body instinct to survive, and being afraid of slipping off the cliff, which is healthy and appropriate, without being overcome by old fears that are still alive in our psyche, parts of us that are still living experiences that aren't complete yet. So they might be hovering over the scene of the crime, or they might be just hidden away where they're so that you could go on, move forward in life. So fear can be a really helpful goad to get us on path, to help us. The main thing with SMGI is that we learn to get into our bodies in a way that feels safe, where we feel connected to something that is loving and supportive and powerful. And then that helps us to turn towards the fears, the pains, the things that we've needed to avoid because we didn't know what to do with them. So why focus on them? And to discover the power that we have to clear away what's not ours or is no longer helpful to us, that's just cluttering up our subconscious and energy system, and then to connect to those parts that are suffering somewhere in time, in some episode, and we can connect to them. We can essentially rescue them, and then we can retire them into paradise within us.
Mm.
Now, instead of the stress that was coming from those parts that were stuck in those experiences, now we have greater wholeness. More of us is back online, and we have more life force vitality circulating through our system because those precious parts of us are back.
Right. Right. And that's so full circle back to that first question and topic we were talking about this epidemic of people ungrounded and not in their bodies.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly it. This fragmentation is and when we go into SMGI, we're just going back and it's so fascinating to me every time I go in that it's like into SMGI. I mean, it's like it feels like these parts are so far, but they're
Mhm.
right there. Right. And so this whole idea of like coming into our bodies and reintegrating, it can sound so like esoteric and out there and like, oh, I have to like go find my soul parts, where are they? It's like everything's just, it's all here, right? So it's such a beautiful, and this is why, I know you say that this is SMGI is this easy process. Like it sounds like, oh my God, all this healing, but it's actually so gentle because once you go in, it's so accessible, it's all right there.
Yeah.
Everything, it's such a beautiful and an easy way to do this thing that sounds so deep and so challenging.
It is deep, but that's part of the value of all the trauma that I experienced as a kid, is that my system was so jacked up and so hyper vigilant that any slight little criticism, it's like, I'm out. F you, I'm out. Right.
Mm,
And so as I was on my trail of healing, I encountered a lot of very judgmental healers. Get
mm.
grounded, get in your body, get out of your head, all of this stuff. And I'm like, okay, how do I do that? If that's the
Yeah.
solution to this excruciating pain, I'm fine. I'll do it. How do I do it? But they really couldn't tell me. And it was great, though, that they were scolding me because I was like, and so I found out that was my mission. Okay, fine. How? If that's the solution, how?
Mm,
And the great thing about being so jacked is that informed me about really how to use the language of the subconscious in a very safe, respectful way, and not make any demands, but make offers and support whatever the part that's presenting, support their choice, and to
yeah.
continually connect to the central person, the central self that is connected to their divine, and to more and more get practice coming into that place, the center of you from which you can observe your parts and that are suffering and support them and help them. But the beautiful thing is we don't have to go looking for anything.
Mhm.
All we have to do, get connected. And again, we don't have to do anything, but it's as easy as moving your attention into the body where, yeah, all your pain and trauma lives, but also all of your power to change anything. This is where you can most easily connect to your divinity. Just move your attention in, connect to that sense of safety and beauty so that your system is calm, connect to whatever supports you and however, whatever form that shows up in. And then from that safe, supported, connected place, now you have the courage to just, okay, if there is a part of me that's in trouble, all right, show yourself. And then it'll show itself. And it'll either be clutter to clear, which is very easy to do,
Yeah.
or a part to reconnect to release it of its burdens, to bring it home. So it's just only 3 things to do. And whatever modality anyone's doing, it's always these 3 things that we're all looking to do. Connect to inner resources, clear inner clutter, and reunify with the parts of our essential nature, our true self. So however you do that, good on you.
Yeah.
Right? Nowadays, there is a plethora of modalities that we can choose from, that we can gravitate towards in order to accomplish these 3 things. And one of the really wonderful things about SMGI is that it really trusts your inner wisdom, knows the order of priority of what you need to connect to, right? We
Mm.
know that it's probably going to be helpful to connect to a good place in your inner world and a comforting presence, and to clear some clutter, rescue some parts. But we don't know what order, and we don't know, in what form. So we're not going to tell you to go to the beach at sunset and call in a big blue angel and then go to your belly button and start pulling stuff out. Right. I mean, that's like so many of the modalities that I experienced as I was on my own healing journey.
Yeah.
And I would try, like, okay, all right, I'm following instructions. But following instructions is your left brain, school brain,
Yeah.
right? Following instructions, I could do that. I was educational system, super easy for me,
Yeah.
right? This other stuff is like, what is this? How do I do that?
Yeah. 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 And you make me want to ask this. What you're saying here is so connected to what I'm so passionate about. And I've always been so passionate about is this knowing, just I've always known it, even before I was into the healing arts, that we can heal ourselves. Right? Like I really just, I feel like my soul was just driving that home for so long. Like I would hear something that was like someone had a terminal illness or broke a bone or had digestive issues or something. Like my gut instinct is always just like, oh my God, it's healable. You're going to heal it. You can do it. It's like, yes. Right. And caveat is that I also had many years of my own issues with my body and things that took a long time to heal. So I knew it instinctively, and my soul had to take me on a certain journey and a length of time to get me to a place of actually being able to heal it. But I swear, I still always believed that I could heal it. And that doesn't mean like I just sat and meditated and healed things. I did all the modalities, tried all the supplements and all the things, right? But again, part of the journey as a healer to explore. Um, and so I just want to bring that topic to the table here, and just this idea of like all things are healable, which I know is something that you really believe in, and how SMGI supports people. I do as well with the work I do. And what does that really mean? And also this idea of like how we are our own healers, because that is, I will say, absolutely what SMGI will show you. That like you have this beautiful guide, this practitioner that is here with you, but you go into this inner journey and it is all you. They're just giving you these little suggestions. They're not giving you instructions, like you said. They're giving you some suggestions, and then you create everything. I'm telling you, when I take my blindfold off, because it's, I put the blindfold on, I get cozy with the blanket. It's like I went to a different planet. It blows my mind every time, right? So let's just have a chat here about this idea of all things are healable, and we're our own healers.
Yeah, that is true ultimately. And we do want to be cognizant and respectful of how you're going to do that on your personal journey
Yes.
and how many people it might involve.
Yes.
So, right, does it involve that you have a team of medical doctors, allopathic medical doctors that you interact with in healing ways for you for whatever reason? Does it mean that your cancer diagnosis disappears or you die peacefully?
Yeah.
Right? So whatever healing is for you, yes, you are the one doing it. And yet we get our wounds in community and we heal them in community,
Mm,
especially as the consciousness is shifting to the more love-based consciousness where it is not about hierarchy like it has been, but it is about community, and each person, each member in the community has their own particular innate gifts, talents, skills, and abilities to share that are valuable for the whole. So yes, oftentimes it can feel like pressure on a person that's suffering and has tried everything. You're the only one in your way. But there are catalysts. We are catalysts for each other, and sometimes in adversarial ways. Right.
mhm.
I probably accessed my inner gumption more helpfully because of idiots that, said mean and rude and stupid things uh, than the wonderfully loving beings, especially before I had done a lot of healing, I couldn't receive much from the loving beings.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, yeah, right. When are you going to slap me? Right.
Mm,
So, yes, ultimately, it is the individual soul that does the healing. And yet, we, in most cases, need the collaboration with other human souls, with the invisible beings that support us, with nature, animals, plants, whatever it is that your path and purpose is aligned with and here to collaborate with. So one of the beautiful things is that as you come into that knowing yourself, it's not like someone lecturing you, you know, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis, all healing is self-healing. Well, yes, that's true. And we have divine appointments with each other to help
mm,
each other. I know I have learned, I don't always know what I'm doing when I'm following my intuition, doing the next thing, but I've learned that SMGI is like an entity that I agreed to birth in the world and to support others healing themselves, right? In community, right? With a guide. Of course, you can SMGI yourself. I just did it yesterday when I was stuck. But as Yeshua said, wherever two or more are gathered, the power is multiplied.
yeah.
So just having a guide, just with their little subtle nudges, they just offer you things, you can do it or not. It really increases the capacity for most people to access what they do have availability of.
Yeah.
Does that answer
Exactly.
that thoroughly enough?
It certainly does. And I want to add to that piece too, is that you said this in your own way, but I feel strongly that I said in the beginning too, with the piece of, I have been through my own healing journey where even though I feel it and know it, that everything is healable, right? And that I'm healing myself through this journey, I still don't have everything healed. I'm like 90% there, right? But what I've learned, and this goes back to the whole self-love piece too, is that the issues I deal with, the pain in my body, is always this opportunity to connect more with myself, right? So like you gave the example of like, maybe you have a spontaneous remission, your cancer goes away, or maybe you die peacefully. It's these choices. We always have choices. And this goes back also to the love or the fear. Like we can choose to love our pain. It doesn't always mean that our soul path is like you healed this and you are completely better. It's just that actually you are going to live with this and you're going to learn how to love yourself and have more compassion for yourself because you have it. And that's your journey. So I think that you can be healed by still having an issue in your body, for example. It's a choice, right? It's like a mindset. It's a state of being versus like, this is how healing looks, right?
Yeah, what comes to mind is a wheelchair basketball player.
Exactly. Yeah.
right? So what is healing? His legs work, or his life is richer than ever because he's got creative, he's got this community now, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So really, who's to say what healing is for one soul over another?
Exactly.
And yet, healing, it comes from that word holing.
Mm.
And so oftentimes it's through trouble that we develop the desire and call out to the parts of us that are either missing, that we got disconnected from, or maybe some that have been latent and never came online yet because we didn't have that magnetic call to ask for them to come.
Right.
Usually we need some kind of challenge, and the challenge needs to be worthy of us, right?
Yeah.
So that we're really engaged and then can be amazed at the capacities that we actually do have that we never dreamed really were possible.
Right.
And
Right.
we
Exactly.
inspire each other. Like those wheelchair basketball players inspire me. So
Exactly.
when I have my thing that's like, why isn't this healed yet? What do I do? What needs to happen? And then we also, with whatever challenges we do have, we learn more about what's possible, how things work or have worked. And so it can become a very creative process.
Yeah.
Now, that's usually, when we're out of the woods, so to speak. If we're in a really inflamed situation, then we want to get stabilized, clear that clutter, bring those parts back, get more stable. And then after you do, like you mentioned, you did a series of sessions, really changed a lot. Now it's really can be a matter of nuance and refinement,
Hmm.
right? And continued expansion into your creative ability to orient yourself and your life.
Absolutely. And that's like
Yeah.
it's something that I am so excited to share with people. I mentioned it a little bit before around the layers of healing. And it's not all, it's like I for say the new person here that's like not dove into their spiritual practice, their self-help journey, whatever they want to call it, right? Healing. If they're like a little bit nervous to think about diving into this, like what is so exciting on the other side of it? It's not just, oh, I want to clear my trauma. It's like when you clear it, you become a totally different person. And so I'm circling back to that because I am at that point with my SMGI journey. I had actually just last night my 12th session, and it was the first session where I wasn't clearing clutter. I was I was on this elevated, like I connected to certain soul beings that are part of my soul tribe that I haven't met yet that like were all about showing me like prosperity codes and how to create more in the world. And oh my gosh, like I now get to use this modality to just continuously up level my life, which
Mm,
is really exciting. So I'm sharing this again for anybody that's like dipping their toe in, or maybe they're deep in their healing right now and it's still really challenging because it is. Can be a rocky road and there's ups and downs because once we release things, sometimes new things come in, right? Those are the layers. But I just really want to put that out there that like once you just really keep going and you trust your path with it, no matter how long it takes, there's so much magic on the other side of what's possible.
yeah,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how you get there is going to be unique to you
Mm,
and how long it takes.
yeah.
Yeah. And most people don't come in to say, I mean, some do, but most don't come in and say, I want to heal my trauma. Most come in and they have something that they want to be different. I want better health or better finances or relationships, whatever it is that you're desiring. Your desire is the fuel for the journey. Your desire puts you on the journey, and it helps you to connect to what you need to connect to in order for those desires to be fulfilled. It might be something that's in the way. It might be something that needs to come in, but it's all yours.
Yeah. Exactly. It is. And what I want to relate here even more so is that SMGI, somatic mindful guided imagery, like while it yes is a process for this healing journey, it's also just bringing you into, you correct me if I'm wrong in this, but this is what I do with my clients is I bring them into quantum realm. This is a place where all possibilities exist. And this is what hypnosis is, right? Generally, like we're taking them and people are going into a different state in their mind, or to even make it super layman's terms, you're literally just going to the right side of your brain and you're imagining, right? Like this is what's happening. And in that place, like you meet like a whole nother world of possibilities. And so it's SMGI is used not just for healing, but for literally like just being like, cool, I'm gonna check out of my left brain. That's like I've been working all day, I've been in to-do lists, like organizing all the things, and I'm just gonna have some fun. Like that's how it felt for me last night with my session. It was like I literally just went into the most creative session I've ever been in. And I meditate, I do all the things, but having my guide, who's my really close friend too, we just, put the blindfold on and I get to go to this whole other world. And
Yeah.
I'm connecting with souls that I'm going to meet at one point in my life. And it's just so cool. It's so fun. So
Yeah.
yeah, just want to share that with people that this is a process of being more, I guess another piece to share is this whole like idea of being a multidimensional being, right? Like we are so much more than just our human mind that keeps us safe and walks around the world and does things, right? Like we are creative beings that have the potential to create worlds within us.
Yeah. And we've been doing it all along, even if people call it dysfunctional,
Yeah.
right? So in some ways, we're uncreating what we have created. We created it, we can uncreate it, and we're recreating something that feels like it would be more interesting or satisfying or delicious. And we get to continually recreate and
Mm,
adjust and uncreate. So one of the things about SMGI is to give people an experience of how easy it can be to connect to those other aspects of our knowing and experiencing. It's
mm,
just the quantum is right here. It's not where we have to, go on a silent retreat for 10 days and work really hard enough and only eat vegan food in order to access it. If you want to do all that stuff, I support you 100%.
yeah.
But this is different. This is like now's the time, the consciousness is set, and humanity has moved to the place it's moved to where it's so much more accessible than ever before now. But you don't know that until you experience it. In the recent past, people would have to go in and devote their entire lives to connect to these kinds of things. And we're just in different times now where that's not required.
Yes.
Now you can just go in right here and connect to whatever is most beneficial for you to connect with that is related to your desire, whatever you desire.
Right. Right.
Not what
Exactly.
not what we say you should change, not what anyone else says you should change.
Yes. Yes. Such a good time that we live in right now, which is another reason why I'm so excited to be in this line of work. And I'm sure you are too, because it's like people are more than ever ready for it, wanting it. They're looking for it. I find often people that are like, they don't even really know that they're wanting it. And then just in me sharing what I do, they're
Mhm.
like, oh, when in the past, even in the past 5 years, it was harder for me to talk about what I do and have people receive it and even be open to it, right? So it's a really exciting time to be a healer on the planet.
Mhm.
And that's a great segue for me I'd love to hear more from you because I know that SMGI is growing and you're spreading it, which is the most beautiful gift. And thank you for that. And so, yeah, a topic I wanted to share and relate with you on is this idea of choosing to be a healer, taking this path as a career, actually, because I know your background and mine as well. I was in the corporate world and I wasn't in the healing arts. It wasn't something I came out of high school being like, this is what I'm going to pursue. My own self journey brought me there. I think as many healers do with their own issues and things they want to heal and really that soul calling. But personally, it took me years to really feel confident and comfortable in taking this path. I mean, yes, I got out of the corporate world, but even once I got out of there, there was still this huge gap between like actually owning this path. There was like excitement, I would get into it, and then all the fear would come in. I'd be like, no, 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 right? So I just want to share this for anyone that's listening to this that knows that they also have this calling to be a healer or to support this beautiful awakening of this planet that we're all a part of right now, whatever way that looks for them. Um, what would you say to the person that knows they're a healer that is too scared to take this path? And did you go through that process?
Yeah, well, nowadays a lot of people don't know they're a healer until they know. And that can look like many different things. Of course, first of all, we're all healers. You get a cut, it heals. You know,
Mhm.
if
Yeah.
you have diabetes, it doesn't heal quite as easily. And so it takes more care. So we're all innately healers. We all are self healers, right? And we all can participate in other people healing, whatever that looks like, whether it looks like working with someone one to one or working in organizations that support the homeless or whatever it is. But there's kind of two paths that are coming apparent. It's those that are moving forward to heal themselves and each other and the planet, and the other path that is interested in other things, right? So, but if someone is getting signals and nudges and signs that they're here to serve in a capacity as a healer, in a healing capacity for others, and it seems like it's too much for them, then I would just encourage them to just explore it gently. And because what my clients have taught me over the years is that what we're afraid of is something that is really blown up much bigger than what is actually calling to us. And so as if you're scared about some of these thoughts or ideas that you're a healer, maybe some intuitives have said you're a healer, then you can just explore, what does that mean for you? Does it mean you heal yourself? Does it mean you heal your family? Does it mean you heal clients or audiences? Uh, does it mean that you create art that people see and they're transformed by? So you can just gently explore, what would that mean for you if you were to consider it? You don't have to say yes. You can just say, well, what would that be? And what I found is that I have clients that come because of whatever is challenging them. Let's just pick anxiety. And then in the course of our work, all of a sudden they realize, oh my gosh, I thought that I was going to stay in my job forever. It's secure. I'm good at it. It's great. But you know what? I have this book to write. I have this other thing to do. And so then there's the transition period. It's like, wait, how could all this work? And then there's the fears that come up. Well, past life fears. Will I be burned at the stake? Will I be drowned as a witch? Or will I lose all my money? How am I going to make money doing that? Whatever fears come up, they're appropriate to the person's soul history. And so the good news is you don't have to say yes or no to anything. You can just explore. Well, what would that mean? What would that be like for me? If I did say yes to that, well, what would that look like? But all that can only come from inside the person, truly. So that's one of the benefits of SMGI, is that you're guided in to the parts of you that can help you to become aware of what that means for you. And usually, for whatever reason, uh, in the consciousness of today, it seems that we get less of the entire picture and we get more of the next step and the next step and the next step. And we have an idea of where we're headed, but we don't know exactly what it is. And one of the ways I understand that is because it hasn't ever really existed before.
Mhm.
So we don't have a template to refer to. But as we move forward, when we get into it, when we're on the stage of and we're presenting to thousands, it feels natural because there was a journey, there was a process that we got there. But many times as children, we were thrown into the pool, learn to swim, sink or swim. So naturally, those things, those fears are going to be activated, and we can turn towards them. We can follow them to what they're connected to, and we can either clear the clutter or rescue the part.
Right. Right. Exactly. And I do feel too that these folks that everything and anything you just described, like wherever you are in your journey with maybe this idea of being a healer as a career path, that you will be you'll be shown exactly what you need. And if it's meant for you, you go for it. If not, then you choose a different path. But then if it's really meant for you, it's going to come back. Like it will, you may
Yeah,
dance
it'll
at
always
it
come back.
for a long time. That's just it. Yeah. Like that's that whole soul calling, right? But I do feel many of the healers too, they go through the back and forth because they realize, oh, I just needed to clear some of that clutter. And now
Yeah,
I'm aware of who I am, which is innately, I just want to serve as a healer, right?
yeah. And it makes a difference where it's coming from. So if it comes from the deep self, as you go on your journey, it's going to resonate. It's going to feel natural. You're going to like grow into it.
Yeah.
If it's coming from the personality or what's sometimes called ego, then it's more like related to fantasy. Oh, that's kind of like where hypnosis was for a long time. People wanted to operate on others with
Mm,
words. They want
mm,
to know the right incantation to say to see effects in people.
mm,
So it was just a limited understanding because, all healing is self-healing. It's all the placebo effect.
yeah,
If I say something that is healing to you, it's because it activated something in you that said, yes, I will
right,
heal. I'll heal that
right.
thing. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Thank you for that distinguishing piece there with yeah, there's many people that may think they want to be the healer based on the idea of it. And
Mhm.
that's okay too, to like go and try something out to find out it's not for you because something else was driving you to do it.
Yeah. And that's part of where it becomes a fun treasure hunt is when we learn to trust, doesn't really logically make sense, but it feels right. I'm gonna follow this trail. And we already do things like that. It doesn't make sense to have a baby, right? There's a lot of energy and time and money, but there's this drive to do it. Why?
Right.
Why do you need a Ferrari? You can tell me 0 to 60 in 2 seconds or whatever, but it's not about that. So really life is about certain experiences that we're here to experience.
Yeah.
I don't know what your soul came here to experience, but it's highly likely that it's experienced enough pain and suffering, and it can now move into feeling more creative and free and
Mm,
in love with your soul, with your body, your physical apparatus that carries that nature program that tells you when to be afraid so you make sure you survive, so that you can love it all and work with it all as the artist, as the
mm,
divine creative artist that you are. And of
yes.
course, like, are you hip hop? Are you classical? What kind of artist are you?
Totally. Oh, amen to that. I'm so here for that. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, thank you, Gina. This has been amazing. And I wanted to, before we close, I want you to share with us about SMGI and the online course that I know starts March 16th. There's lots of people in my community that would be interested in this. I know it because I have a really beautiful community of fellow healers or just artists or creatives and entrepreneurs. And this course is, like I said, there's people in my inner circle here too in the Bay where I live that have gone through your course, and I've been witnessing them going from knowing nothing about this kind of line of work to literally now it's changed their life because it's their career path. And so I'm super eager to share more of this to my community. So if you wanted to just give us a little taste of what this online course is all about, and yeah, anything you want to share on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I spend my time working full time seeing private clients on Zoom and some in person and doing this annual training and a retreat once a year. In the background, I'm writing a book about the 9 survival responses that can become trauma related reactions. And the course is really for anyone that is interested, right? It kind of breaks the marketing rules about like who's the client avatar? Do they paint their nails? Do they drink tea or coffee? Are they 40 years old or 50? Are they female? Right? Because nowadays it's not just coaches and healers and helping professionals, though uh, those are all welcome. But many come to the course that they're working a regular corporate job, but they feel drawn. And so they're wanting to explore what's possible. And when you finish the course, you can add it to your existing helping business. You can start a new business. You can do it part-time, while you're segueing out of your quote unquote regular job. And some people come through not because they're going to be a formal somatic mindful guided imagery practitioner, but in order to experience what community can be like in a safe way, and to learn the work and practice the work in the trades, being a guide for their classmates, receiving sessions from their classmates, and going through this entire rite of passage with a group, with a community together. So it's a very rich and rewarding experience. We meet once a week for 27 weeks, 6 months, for a little over 2 hours. And between our sessions, there are video lectures with more background information, the rationale behind why we do what we do in SMGI, with the idea to prepare people to just be receptive to however a session might go, so that they don't feel like it's needs to be a rigid structure. Mm-hmm. And we experience really cool, easy meditations together. We get to know each other in community. We have some teaching in our live sessions, and then a lot of experiential exercises together that are really, people come back like breathless and rosy cheeked after those. And it also includes a hefty business component to support you in being successful and viable as a practitioner, if that is the path that you want to choose. Whether you have an existing healing-oriented practice, or you be starting fresh, moving from being an employee into an entrepreneur. So those are some of what's included. People can learn more by going to the SMGI website, somaticmindfulguidedimagery.com. And there's a lot of information about the course there. And they can read testimonials from many of the students that have gone through the training. But before we do close, I wonder if we could do a little playing exercise with you.
Ooh, sure.
Yeah. This SMGI is kind of developed into being a 6-session protocol. Mm-hmm. And most people, my clients just taught me that most come and work for 6 sessions at a time, and they might do multiple 6-packs. But 3 is the minimum, because it takes 3 to get through all the steps one time for most people. Some people do 3 and 3 and 3 and 3. And of course, people are welcome to come in for a single session if that's their comfort level, to kind of feel it out. And the first session is unique. All the subsequent sessions don't have as much time where we're going over the magical questionnaire that has a lot of right brain questions. So it helps you, with your eyes open, to just really go into your right brain and right into your deep self to access the responses to those questions. And there's 3 that are really fun on that questionnaire that we go over in the first session. And when we go over those questions, what we're really helping you to do is have an eyes open process of going in and coming right back out, going in and coming right back out. So it's an informal way to do what we're going to do more formally, when typically people will have their eyes closed. And we're helping you to access your deeper desires, name them, and claim them. When you do that, your subconscious just starts working on it right in the background. So even if we never see you again, your life will be changed for the better. And I know this because of so many times when I checked in with the person in their second session, they've reported all the changes after the first. But so there's 3 questions I want to ask you, if you're game.
Sure, let's go.
All right. So the first question is, Lauren, when you were a little girl, what was it that you wanted to be when you grew up?
Gina, I don't like this question. And I've talked about this in my SMGI sessions before, because I have a hard time accessing that part of who I was as a young self. I just know that I loved my family. And I was the youngest of two older brothers, and I just sort of like kept by their side and did what they wanted to do because I wanted to be loved and accepted. And I really just, yeah, I mean, I don't have much there, I have to say.
Yeah, that's plenty actually.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, good. And did you have a favorite movie, story, or fairy tale when you were little that you can recall?
I certainly loved a few of the Disney movies for sure. Belle was my favorite from Beauty and the Beast.
Mhm.
Um, and honestly, actually, yeah, that one, that was my favorite. I loved
Tell
her.
me tell me what it was about Belle that you most connected to.
Um, I just liked how she seemed so natural. Like it's kind of interesting because as I'm saying it, I'm thinking of like my adult self, why I would have liked her. So I can't say I know why my little self liked her, but now I'm just like, yeah, she seemed like the most grounded, kind of more like hippie of the princesses from the Disney movies. Like her little basket in town and just and honestly, actually probably to a big part of it, knowing how my soul is like her love for the beast, right? Like she could love anybody. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's probably that actually
Mm. Mhm.
related to her. Yeah.
Mhm. And did you have anyone that you really looked up to or really admired or even a hero as you were growing up?
It was probably my dad.
Yeah,
I
what was
just
it about your dad?
I just idolized him. I mean, I love you, dad, but like also now I'm like, oh.
But that little girl, when she was idolizing him, what was
Yeah.
it about him?
Well, it seemed like he knew everything. Like
Mhm.
it just I trusted that he knew everything, like he could fix anything. Um, he was funny. He he could talk to anybody, like he was likable. Um, but yeah, I truly just believed that he knew everything and I looked up to his word, what he said. Yeah.
Mhm. You looked up to his word. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, like what he said was truth to me, right? Like whether it was to me, to my family, to brothers or my mom, like his word was it. Like, and I thinking back to it's, to little children, they make their parents God, right?
Mhm.
So I can truly say that my younger self would totally saw my father as God. Like
Mhm.
his word was truth.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Well, that's enough. Of course, we could delve deeper in, but that's more than enough. So, what you shared with us gives us a window into your soul, into
Mm,
your essential nature, who you are and what you are here for, what your destiny is.
mm,
And so I'm going to read these things back and you tell me if it resonates, if any of it resonates.
okay.
So, Lauren, you are here to love and be in a loving family. And we don't know if that means you and your inner world, you and babies and husbands or partners in the outer world, but family is a primary value for you and loving family.
Mm,
And being loved and accepted is a primary value for you. It's what you're here to experience and it's what you're here to express to us. When you love and accept yourself, you're modeling that for us. When you love and accept others, you're modeling that for us. You're
mm,
showing us how it can be done.
mm,
And you're here to be very natural
mm.
and grounded and like hippie-esque, right? The grounded hippie,
Yeah.
right? Those don't usually go together, right? So that's like, oh, that could happen. Cool.
Yes.
And you are here to love, to be able to love anybody, no matter how obnoxious they are, unlovable. You are here to love anybody, and especially the beastly parts of humanity,
Yeah.
right? That people say that's rah rah. No, you are here to be like that divine beacon that can love the beast in all of us.
Yeah.
And you are here to connect to that divine aspect that knows everything.
Mm,
You are here to know that everything can be fixed, that we have a connection to a source that can help us fix anything. right? Like you were saying earlier, it can all be healed.
Yeah.
You're here to be funny, right? I haven't seen that about you yet, but that's part of you. That's a value that you have. That's part of the energy that you carry. That's part of what you're here to express in this world. And you're here to be likable, right? Which is interesting because there's a lot of rah, rah, rah. You know, you're a people pleaser. You want people to like you, but it's like, you're here to be likable. Cool. I want to watch how this unfolds.
Mm.
And you can talk to anybody, right? You are here to, like, the other people like don't know what to do with that person. And as I'm telling you, I can see you drop into like your divine center and you can just float over there and you can talk to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are here to connect to and to give the word of truth. Right? So like when you're in that like connected state, when you're walking around the yoga studio and you're guiding people, it's like that's one of the times you're doing it. Right? And then in your other work, you're tapping in and you're bringing forth the word of truth for the person that you're with. Right? But it's like this bigger thing. It's not just, well, gosh, I think maybe if you exercised more and ate healthier, your life would be better. Right? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but yours is about this big godlike thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to bring forth God's truth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So no small things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does
How did you
anyone
know
ever
all
think,
that? How did you know all that? What just happened? From those three questions?
uh-huh?
What?
You told, I mean, if you go back and you watch this again, you told us those things. I just asked the questions. This is part of the gift of SMGI. It has these phrasings and these certain questions that help you access to what your truth is, what is inside you. And it's so beautiful, it's so powerful, and it's so rich. And it's not here to tell you what you are, but to validate what you already know. Like you know it, but the world isn't going to encourage you in these things because you could take it one way and that sounds egoic. Who do you think you are, Missy? Right? And I already went over the likable thing.
Yeah,
Right?
I love that part.
Yeah. So like you being and doing your path, you're breaking a lot of rules that
Mm.
you've been acculturated to, socialized to, that our culture follows. So it is like a risk.
Yeah.
It is a risk. And yet it's so rewarding. And you have continued to find out as you've taken the risks. Oh, yeah, I can't go back. I can't go back.
Mm-hmm.
Ah. And yet, you don't have to jump in to the deep end all at once. Right. But yet you will encounter magical figures that will help. They will be a clear reflection of aspects of you, not the whole, but aspects, because we have many encounters with people who will give us a dark reflection of what's wrong with us, where we're limited, how we need to be different, how we need to change, how we're not okay the way we are. And of course, that's part of the clutter that we clear. And so then when people reflect back to us in that way, nowadays it's like, that really is projection because that has nothing to do with me. But
Yeah.
if it stings a little, I'm like, oh, okay, where is there something in me similar to what she's, it's not the same because it's her own stuff, but it did sting. So let me follow that to what that's connected to.
Completely. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's when you really are like using life as a mirror to you. I
Yeah.
found that so helpful. Yeah. And something I encounter too, it sounds like what you're saying is sometimes too, when we're starting to really shift our frequency through all this beautiful work, I actually said this in the very beginning, is that the people that we have related to, right, like from a certain frequency can't relate with you anymore because they haven't really, they're not moving with you. And so they start to, with this new frequency you're sharing with them, they're so uncomfortable with it that they will throw daggers at you. And so there's a discernment there too of knowing like that's not my stuff at all. It's just that they're actually just trying to pull me back to where we used to relate to
Yeah.
with each other, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I can see that that's happening. And then you just realize you don't share as much with that person, or you just hope that they kind of can meet you at some point in this
Yeah.
new version.
Yeah. And neither one is wrong or right. It's just diverging paths.
Totally. It's literally just frequency. That's what I started to you can take it it's hard not to take it personally at times, but when you just see that, like, this is how we relate, like, energies are moving and swaying, relating, and then they kind of move and they sway. It's like we're just all dancing. We're dancing together. Sometimes you dance together, sometimes you dance in totally different countries, just get thrown somewhere else. Well, Gina, thank you. This has been so lovely. Like I said, SMGA is just this magical, amazing thing that came into my life just through hearing about it from my friends to then getting involved with it through my own healing to now just coming, like I said before, it's like I'm using it now to become a better healer in my own practice and how I serve people. So it's really special to me. So to be able to connect with you, the creator of it, is really special, and to share it with my community is going to be really, really awesome. So thank you so much. And yeah, hopefully we get to connect again soon.
Thank you, Lauren. And thank you for your service in the world at this time. It lightens the load on my heart knowing that you're out there doing you, being you, and serving in your very uniquely beautiful way. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, yes. And cheers to all the health and happiness for all beings. Thank you, everybody, for watching and connecting with us here. And if you have any questions or anything, please reach out to me or Gina. And you can find Gina at somaticmindfulguidedimagery.com. Is that right?
Yep. Mhm.
Awesome.
And where can people find you?
Oh, embodyyourwayhome.com is my
Mm,
website. So yes,
mm,
yes.
lovely.
Thank
So
you.
it feels yummy in the body just hearing it.
Thank you. Yes, let's come home to our bodies. Let's live this beautiful, thriving life through this temple that we were gifted. So I'm here for it.
Mm. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Gina. Bye.